Hey there, welcome back to my channel. I'm Brooke Thomas. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Seriously, if you're watching this right now, just go down there. I think the button's down there somewhat. I haven't figured out my YouTube neighborhood yet. Please just click the button. I would really appreciate it. So the reason I wanted to do this channel was because I wanted a platform to just be myself. I think that's what YouTube is all about. I wanted to talk to you about why I do what I do. Outside of YouTube, news is a big part of me, whether it's hard news or it's entertainment news, fun feature stories, fashion news. I really like all things news. Politics, really love local news, celebrity news, pop culture. And I've been in this business for a little bit now. I want to say almost 10 years. I want to tell you a little bit about why it's so important to me. I like to talk. If you've been here for 2 videos max, you know that. I love to write. I'm a storyteller through and through. That's just how I operate. And so being able to be a storyteller for a living, it's perfect. I can't think of anything I'd rather do. And there's so many different ways you can kind of branch out in this business. This just makes sense for me. I love this business. And as hard as it gets, and as hard as it even has been for me, and it's still never gonna be 100% smooth. There are always gonna be moments of highs and moments of lows, things that could be better. There are often, there are a lot of times there are things that could be much worse, but I still love this business with all its flaws. Another part of this that's important to me is that I am a dark-skinned Black woman on TV and doing it for a living and on the news, and I am proud of that because when I was younger, I didn't see that a lot. I watched the news all day long. I grew up with my grandparents. Some of you may know that. If you don't, I'll get into that a little bit later. All we did was watch the news. We watched the news and my grandma's stories. I watched a lot of Oprah, Entertainment Tonight, a lot of local news. I think representation is so important. And for me, I get to be something for other little girls who look just like me that I didn't have. That's my favorite part about doing what I do. The most important part, being able to be somewhere where someone can see you and feel seen themselves. You hear people who say, no, I don't want to be referred to as a Black actress. I don't want to be referred to as a Black gymnast. I don't want to be referred to as a Black teacher. I'm just a teacher. I'm just a gymnast. I'm just an actress, and I'm just using random jobs there. For me, I'm very proud of being a Black news anchor, a Black TV host, a Black journalist. I always want to be that. I'm a Black woman, and that's important to me. There's a story I want to tell you about years ago, back when I want to say I was in 7th grade or something like that. Back in Oklahoma, back in Muskogee, Oklahoma, I went to Alice Robertson Middle School. It's about my grandma, and it's a story that I didn't even know would connect to what I would later do for a living. My grandmother did something for me. Years ago, she said something to me that to this day has been so important. It was a National Honor Society, Oklahoma Honor Society assembly. It was a program. So everyone who had made Oklahoma Honor Society in the entire school and their parents, they were invited to this program where we were celebrating each other. And then I think there were 4 or 5 kids who were National Honor Society, and we were on stage, and we had all been given kind of a paragraph. It was pre-written for us. It was just a little piece of a paper that we had to read, and we split it up into, if there were 4 of us, I want to say there were 4 of us. If there were 4 of us, it was split up into 4 paragraphs. Got to go up to the podium, and we had to read. And this is my first memory of intense public speaking. Of course, everyone has stood up in front of the class before, maybe a smaller assembly, gone up and received like a citizenship award, student of the week, student of the month, something like that. Never really this many words in front of that many people. I had slicked my hair back into the tight ponytail. I spent all this time brushing it. It was in this low ponytail, and I thought I was so fly. I had these earrings on, not these earrings, but I had earrings, and I remember I had on a black dress. I just felt like I was so fly. Story break here. My grandmother raised me. I lived with my mother raised me as well. I lived with my grandmother though growing up from, kindergarten through high school, and I would spend summers, Christmas, spring breaks. My mom would come and visit us. My mom got a job that took her out of state when I was 4 or 5. I want to say maybe 5, and I just started school, or I was starting school. I don't even remember how this operated, but I ended up staying with my grandparents. My mom, her new career was going to be better for her child. That's just kind of how our family operated. Just to give you the short story, my grandmother and grandfather, E.W. Thomas and Lula Pearl Thomas, were born in 1918 and 1921. So I had pretty old grandparents, and they were awesome. They spent all their time with me, whether we were playing, whether we were watching the news, or cooking, or eating, or going to the mall, or just going on rides, or everything. They were awesome grandparents, and my mom is my best friend. So, okay, we're at this assembly. My grandmother also did not drive. So we didn't go very many places after school because we didn't have a car. After my grandfather passed when I was in 3rd grade, we couldn't get places unless we walked. And we would walk to the grocery store, we would walk to church, we would walk to sometimes McDonald's or Burger King because they were kind of in our neighborhood. And my uncles would come over and they would drive us places if my grandma needed to pay bills or if I needed to go to the doctor or things like that. It was definitely a village. I'm really close with a ton of family members. They all played a part in me being who I am today. Going to this assembly was a big deal. You know, my grandmother was gonna make it happen. So my Aunt Jennifer drives down from Tulsa and she's gonna take us. I remember my grandmother got dressed up. She has on this pantsuit. She had on these cute shoes. The hairnet was off. Her hair was perfectly styled. She had on makeup, red lipstick, and I remember she smelled so good. Every time she was going somewhere fancy, church or something like that, she wore this special perfume and I remember she smelled like that perfume. So this was a big deal to her. And that made me feel proud. I don't remember being nervous, but I assume I just had to have been. I mean, come on. So I remember standing up at the podium, reading my part, and then afterwards, the 4 kids were kind of behind stage waiting for our parents to come up. My choir teacher at the time, I remember she walked up to me in front of all these kids, 2 boys and I think another girl. She was talking to us and then she goes, and Brooke, oh my goodness, I thought you had got one of those, you know, those African kid haircuts. I thought you had shaved your head bald. I didn't see that ponytail back there because when you were standing up, it just didn't look like you had any hair. Oh, girl. So that happened. It was weird. There is nothing wrong with a bald haircut, but it was just a weird moment for me, and she embarrassed me and kind of brought down this positive moment that we were having. Like, whoo, we got it done. We survived. We stood up in front of those people. We got it done. And she kind of made me feel like my hair didn't look like I wanted it to look because I didn't have little wispies in the front. It didn't look like a ponytail. I don't even know. And honestly, right now, I don't even know why I cared, but it bothered me. And my grandmother was a little bit behind her, and I don't know if she heard it because she came up around her and she just goes, baby, you spoke so well. I mean, I was standing up there and I was watching you and I stood up and I just said, my baby spoke so well. You did a good job. I didn't know you could speak like that. You spoke so well. You sounded so good. And she just went on and on and on. And I was like, did I? You know what I mean? I didn't think it was that great. She was telling me what it looked like and what I could do. Years later, in college, when I really settled on this is what I want to do, I had no idea what I wanted to do. And little did I know that my grandmother would help set the scene back in 7th grade at AR backstage in the auditorium about how much I would feel like this is right for me and how much I would feel like, you know what? I can do this. I can be good at this. And how important it is to speak that positivity into kids. And she was always speaking positivity into me, always, my entire family. But just that little thing, every day I think about that, and I think that that has so much to do with why I feel like this is right for me. Before I can even get into it myself and make the sacrifices and work really hard, I think that conversation is why it's a little easier to keep going when it gets hard, because without even knowing, I feel like she let me know that I'm meant for this. I don't know. So that's it. Lula Pearl Thomas, greatest grandma ever. I have the greatest family ever. I have the greatest mom ever. I have the greatest sisters. I have the cutest little brother, the most amazing friends. I'm a lucky, lucky woman. I have the greatest cousins and uncles and aunts, uncles who stepped in and were like fathers to me. I just have an awesome family. But that is one of my favorite stories. And if this is gonna be a platform where I let you in, then I can't not tell that story. Thanks for watching. In the comments, I wanna know why you do what you do, and if you have a similar story about a family member speaking power into you before you even knew you needed it.